In this series of lectures that we will start today, first we will discuss about a important leading case, and that is Amarnath Sehgal versus Union of India decided in 2005 by the Delhi High Court. And this series will completely deal with the property rights, in particularly intellectual property rights, which consist of copyright act, trademark laws, patent laws, etc. So in this instance case, when we'll discuss about the introduction, here there was the very question relating to the moral rights of the creator. In this particular case was Amarnath Sehgal, and the very moral rights of the creator. And Amarnath Sehgal was a sculptor, and about his artistic works on the grounds of erasing, disfiguring, damaging, and misuse of the artwork created by the sculptor Amarnath Sehgal by the Union of India, that is the government of India. So the very facts in regard to that, here it was the moral sculpture of the sculptors being damaged due to its transporting, and the very stressed why the Union Government of India. So the very issues raised in this important leading case, the legal and controversial raised even after selling out the copyright ownership. Did the creator have the moral rights over their created works? So, in that connection, we would like to discuss the very arguments laid down by the plaintiff and the response made by the government of India that was taken by the Delhi government. And in this case, the very judgment delivered by the Delhi High Court, which made reference to the Berne Convention on Copyright and the Copyright Act of 1957. So, in that connection, we will discuss about the very facts relating to this landmark case relating to the Copyright Act of 1957. So, the petitioner, Mr. Amarnath Sehgal, was one of India's renowned sculptors. During the 60s, he created an attractive mural sculpture for the internal decoration of Vigyan Bhavan in Delhi. Mr. Sehgal spent considerable time and effort on this artwork before handing it over to the government as an ornamental decorative piece. No doubt it made him one of the greatest treasures. And this famed sculpture was acquired from Amarnath Sehgal by the Indian government and then removed from public view to be safely stored in one of their depots in 1979. While transporting and storing the statue, however, caused extensive damage as well as left some elements like the author's signature missing out of it. So the plaintiff approached the Delhi High Court against government action to challenge them further. Court authorities urged that the government stop any further interference with artworks that might interfere with them. Yet that was not sufficient, as no answer from the authorities was forthcoming. So the petitioner Amarnath Sehgal requested an injunction preventing any further interference by the state with his act or any attempts by it to violate his copyright act as an author under section 57 of the Copyrights Act 1957. So, the very issues raised in this landmark judgment delivered by the Delhi High Court. Do creators possess moral rights over how their work is displaced after being sold? And in that connection, the plaintiff led the argument that after lobbying government officials unsuccessfully to acquire his artistic creation for years and failing to obtain permission for destruction by them, the plaintiff filed suit alleging an infringement on his moral rights, which are guaranteed under the Copyright Act 1957 by the government. According to him, their decision, that is, the government of India, had defaced him as an artist by devaluating and diminishing it, thereby wiping off the artistic signature of Amarnath Sehgal. And in response to the arguments of Amarnath Sehgal, the plaintiff, the government's response, and the stand taken by the government, as by signing an agreement on dated October 31st, 1960, the plaintiff signed over his copyrights to the government, who then purchased all of them back from the plaintiff. A fair accident at Bigyan Bhavan in New Delhi in the 60s destroyed part of the mural. According to the conditions in the contract between both sides, these issues should have been brought before an arbitrator appointed by the defendant, that is, the Union of India, under the terms of the agreement as signed between them in 1960. So, accordingly, the very judgment delivered by the Delhi High Court, where the court expressed carefully and addressed each issue in at hand, or its initial question, they referred a letter from the Ministry of Urban Development confirming their readiness to reconstruct the mural and asked Amarnath Sehgal to report back. Subsequently, Justice Pradeep Nandraju found that the contents of the letter had been verified and therefore its statute of limitation began from its received date. To address another question regarding whether the plaintiff can assert proprietary rights over works signed off as their own and revealed to the public, the author can sign up the work themselves while keeping its integrity secure, as well as withdraw permission at any time if needed. On this basis, The Honorable Delhi High Court consider all but this one title as the author's moral rights belonging to the claimant. That is our North Sehgal, and therefore appropriate copyright protection for it. Furthermore, any violation of the author's integrity poses threats against nation's culture development, and any violation constitute threats. At last, the Honorable Delhi High Court considered whether India had breached any moral rights belonging to the creators. As mutilation refers to when work is damaged intentionally in some way that impacts negatively upon its creator, leading to poor perception from both audience and nations alike of them as creators. Though showing only part of Amarnath Sehgal's work may lead to this outcome, communication between Mr. Sehgal and India should both acknowledging Sehgal's rights with his work while investigating national and international laws which protects these moral rights of authors and artists. So, the court stands to hold that degrading at work encompasses actions such as erasing, damaging, or misusing it. Widely held beliefs maintain this defacement can damage an author's reputation as it renders their piece, unless, as it was expressed by Justice Pradeep Nandrose, who recognized Sehgal's ownership rights over the moral as evidence in the evidence submitted at trial. The artist received Rs. 5 lakh as compensation while sections of his murals were transported to Amarnath for preservation and potential trade purposes in future years. So, in the very context of this very judgment delivered by the Honorable Delhi High Court, we would like to that the court made reference to the Berne Convention relating to copyrights. So, the Berne Convention was signed into effect in 1886 serves as a legal basis for protecting literary and creative works around the globe. And Article 6 of the Berne Convention provides universally binding guidelines to safeguard authors and artists and their moral rights. This aims to protect authors and artists, to safeguard the authenticity and quality of their writings, attributing cultural works to their proper owners, serves to protect these works by fulfilling an author's right of recognition as provided under Article 6 of Berne Convention. Authors and artists possess the right to prohibit any alteration, distortion, or vandalism of their works that might compromise their reputation or integrity, emphasizing their cultural preservation. Further, as per the Indian Copyright Act of 1957 as India already ratified the Bern Convention on Copyright with historic and cultural importance. India continues its leadership role in encouraging copyright laws across developing nations while representing their concerns internationally. As copyright legislation of India adheres to the fundamental tenets of the Bern Convention, to which India is a signatory, while adding some unique Indian flair regarding legislation relevant and effective copyright enforcement. India is widely acknowledged for having one of the premier copyright acts worldwide, that is the Copyright Act of 1957. So, in particularly, Section 57 of the Copyright Act of 1957 safeguards authors and artists' moral rights in line with Article 6 of the Bern Convention. So, the very impact of the judgment that we would like to discuss. Once the settlement was finalized and an agreed upon sum paid for the moral purchase, the government assumed their transaction had concluded and assumed they held full jurisdiction over its display, including having access to remove it at any moment from public exhibition. But contrary to government opinion, the Honorable Delhi High Court held otherwise and highlighted how damage caused to an artwork has an indirect detrimental impact upon an artist standing within his community regardless of who owns it. So the Honorable High Court's ruling affirms that regardless of any financial transactions regarding a work of art, its author's moral rights remain intrinsically linked and cannot be severed from it. So, this present judgment delivered in Amaranth Sehgal versus Union of India in 2005 highlighted both moral rights as inherent rights for artists as well as their impossibility of depriving an author of them. Alteration or deletion constitutes violation of such moral rights. Changing works constitutes such violation as well. It was widely recognized that altering at war violate at its moral rights as it is provided under Section 57 of the Copyright Act of 1957. Such evidence substantiates India's law on authors and artists' integrity rights to protect works from being subjugated and disrespected completely. As Section 57, Clause 1 of the Copyright Act 1957 provided specifically with this in mind to preserve cultural heritage and art through respecting authors and artists' integrity rights, which ensures total disregard to works without manipulations to their character, and which are criticized by the artists themselves. So, in connection to the Bern Convention to which India is a signatory, and in relation to the Copyright Act of 1957, This landmark judgment delivered in 2005 by the Delhi High Court in relation to Amaranth Sehgal versus Union of India was one of the outstanding judgment in relation to the moral rights of the creators as provided both under Article 6 of the Berne Convention and Section 57 of the Copyright Act 1957.